Good evening and welcome to Seasonal, the platform where we speak truth to power. This subject is going to be slightly off topic. I normally cover, I cover mostly a lot of African issues, but this is actually African issue, and we need to do something. I'm going to really say something very, very fundamental here that I want us all to begin to understand as black people, as Africans, not black people, as Africans. You will never hear an European person define themselves as white. They're Europeans. Let me say that again. You will never hear European people call themselves, I'm a white person. They say they are European. So why are we Africans allowing ourselves to be labeled as black people, African Americans, Afro Caribbean, Africans, and black, black African? Why? We need to put a stop to that. We are all one people. We are Africans. Where you see black people, we are Africans. And you can see by the features on our face. Because I believe that the fact that they say black people is a way to divide us. Because now they now attach us to the location that they've placed us by way of the slavery that's gone on around the world. You follow me? That's the reality. So if you end up being enslaved and taken to Caribbeans, they tell you you're Caribbean. If you end up in America, they say you are African American. And whilst you're in Africa, they say black African. But you don't hear white European. Have you ever had anybody use the term white European? Have you ever had that? Is it written down anywhere? It isn't. We need to put a stop to this. So that brings me neatly into this discussion that we're having today. That's Frank Hester. Frank Hester, the Conservative Party's biggest donor, told colleagues looking at Diane Abbott, make you want to hate all black women. He said the MP should be shot. And this man, as we speak, till as I speak to you, he has not been arrested. He's not been arrested for his clearly very, very derogatory comment about women, the misogynism, the obvious, hate of a particular people. As Africans, I am an African person. I'm not a black person. You don't hear an European define themselves as white. They define themselves as European. So why are we allowing ourselves to be defined by those who have colonized Africa? We need to take control of what we are called. Later down the line, as we go on, when things progress, we are going to drop the name African. It's going to be Al-Kebulan. But that's for later on. For now, let us start off with this issue here. We need to address this. This man gave 10 million naira. Frank Hester gave 10 million naira to the Conservatives with this kind of attitude. It should be no question. There should be no question. So there should be no doubt. Sunak should have already returned the 10 million naira, 10 million pounds, 10 million pounds to this man and reject it and be very, very categorical in stating that we want no part of racism in our in our party. But oh no, they embrace it. Oh no, he said sorry. So if somebody said sorry about anti-Semitism, I'm going to go there. Does the matter end there? If somebody said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I said anti-Semitic views about Israel," does the matter end there? Does it? And look at the way they're framing that discussion. Oh, no, he didn't mean it. He's not racist. He can't possibly be racist. He's apologized. But if it was somebody that made anti-Semitic comments, not only would they not accept that comment, that person will ultimately face some kind of sanction, be it being prosecuted by the police or being stripped from the party. Diane Abbott made what they consider anti-Semitic comments, because she was talking about the levels of how racism is viewed and how anti-Semitism is viewed, and how that it's not they're not put on the same level. And I understood what she's talking about, not condoning any kind of ism, anti-Semitism, racism, no. But she's saying that far too often, as soon as the word anything anti-Semitic is raised, the press and everybody comes down like a ton of bricks on that. Look at what's happening with Diane Abbott right now. I'm going to show you a video shortly where she was in the parliament. This is the woman that was at the center of this storm created by Frank Hester, who donated 10 million to the Conservatives. And yet, Diane Abbott was prevented from speaking on issues that actually affect not only her, but black women. I want you to think about what I just said. It's not only affecting her as a black woman, but it speaks for black women. The treatment she received in the parliament symbolizes the attitude and the perception that have been allowed deliberately to pervade the system. Black people don't have a voice. We're not going to let them have a voice. Oh, but it's just for time and everything else. And like she said here, Diane Abbott herself said it. I'm not surprised. Diane Abbott, she was surprised not to be called to speak with the debate mostly about the racism and me. She stood over 40 times, and the speaker claims he ran out of time, she said. The truth is he can make PMQs go on as long as he likes. He has that power. But what they're doing, now this is what I'm saying, this racism is systemic. And I'm going to say this clearly. I'm going to state it. When it comes to, it's very, very important. It seems to me, and I know it's not about trying to make comparisons, but people would look at it from that point of view. But I'm going to state it, and I want to be very, very clear. The system is built in such a way that the threshold for anything anti-Semitic is here. The threshold for anything, let me just say, is here. The threshold for anything racist against black people is there, and it is a covert threshold that you cannot pinpoint, but they know that threshold themselves. So if you make any anti-Semitic comments, they come out at you hard. The press, the system, everybody comes out at you and hits you. Even when you apologize, it doesn't cut it. You are going to have to face the consequences of those comments. Look at what is happening with Frank Hester. He is not facing the consequences of the comment he has made, even though he is apologized, because the same measure was applied against Diane Abbott, and for 10 months now, she's not been allowed to be in that. She's been, what they perceive as anti-Semitic. So you can see the threshold clearly. Clearly, the threshold for anti-Semitism is up here. Anti-Semitism is up here. The threshold for racism against black people is down there. There is no doubt about that. And that is the problem. I'm being very, very clear now. I am not supporting any anti-Semitism, although I do have concerns in that area in terms of how this is displayed and everything else. But that's for a discussion. But I am not in anything to do with putting one person down. I don't support it. But when a system puts the threshold at which, as soon as you say something against anything anti-Semitic, they come at you with everything. But when it comes to black people, oh, he's apologized. They keep the 10 million. If it was the other way around, they would have forced whoever donated to, they would have said, no, we don't want the money. They would turn it back. And they would have made sure that some sanction, be it the police being involved or the person being deselected or cancelled, or something will happen. This man is getting away with it. That's the reality of it. And that's what I mean by the threshold that they use in judging anti-Semitism. Anti-Semitism is up here. The threshold that they use in judging racism against black people is down there. They are not put at the same level. That anything of the sort, they are applied equally. And that is the problem right now. That is the problem. So what she faced, and I'm going to show you the video. 1 second, please. Let me get the video out for you. So you will see in this video, you can see that she's circled up there. Let me see if I'll make it smaller because I don't think it will let me do it. I was going to try and do it another way, but I don't know if it will let me do it that way. Okay, here. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the middle here. And I want you to notice in the video, watch that she is, there is Diane Abbott circled. Let us listen to the video. And you will see her trying to get up several times about a discussion, after all, that is about her. And she represents black women in the entire world, African women. She represents African women. And I think it is time we Africans begin to really reject this. Anything they try and tell, oh, you're from the Caribbean, so you're a black Caribbean. No, you are African. You don't hear Americans, European Americans saying, oh, I'm white, I'm white American. No, they are European American. They are European American, if they're going to even say that. You see? So it is time that we Africans around the world start seeing ourselves as, and that we must define what we are called. I'm African. I am not black. I am African. I am not black. I am African. If you are European, then I am African. End of story. Now let's go forward. So this is by The Guardian, but let us listen, see. Now, and this is, it is such a shame. And anyway, we can see that Sunak is just it's a way to sort of say, look, we've met our quota. It's a man used to meet the quota. The system is very much the same. And judging by what has happened to Diane Abbott and what you will shortly see, you will agree with me about what I'm saying. Let us go forward.
Abdul Khan.
Yeah. Mr. Speaker,
she's trying to get up there, see?
Serious opposition from the Archbishop of Canterbury, 3 former Home Secretaries.
Look at this. She's trying to get up
Mr.
again.
Speaker.
There you go. See? There. She's trying to get up again. You see? There. She's trying to get up again. Watch.
It shamefully took him more than 24 hours to finally say the remarks by the Tories' biggest donor that looking at the Right Honourable Member for Hackney North and Stoke Newington makes you want to hate all black women were indeed racist.
Yeah.
In November, the Prime Minister accepted a non-cash
You see that?
donation.
You see? And now they all try and rush up to go to her. See? Now they're trying to go to her and then try to, and all of that. You see? That's them trying to, it just shows you. I just wanted you to see that. And the statements like she said here, I don't know whose interest the speaker thinks he's serving, but it's not the interest of the commons or the democracy. She's absolutely right. And this is what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm going to show you one more thing. What happened? Exactly what happened with Diane Abbott herself when they said she made anti-Semitic comments in terms of perception, in terms of judging whether or not this anti-Semitism is viewed and treated in a different way to how racism against black people is treated. She was bad. I'll bring that. Give me 1 second, and then let us see the same. We're measuring against what has happened to Frank Hester. The system is inbuilt with racism. That's a plain fact. 1 second, please. As stated, 24th of April 2023. This is her statement. Statement by Diane Abbott, right? She said, her words are, the Hackney North MP, she was responding to writer Tomiwa Owolade's claim that Irish Jewish travelers also suffer from racism. They undoubtedly experience prejudice, Miss Abbott wrote. She even had, you see, she said that. This is similar to racism to racism, and the two words are often used as if they are interchangeable. If it is true that many types of white people with points of difference, such as redheads, can experience this prejudice, but they are not all their lives subject to racism. That's exactly, So again, she goes on to say the former Home Secretary added, in pre-civil rights America, Irish people, Jewish people, and travelers were not required to sit at the back of the bus. These are valid statements she's making. Please do not misinterpret what I'm saying as anti-Semitic. I am highlighting the point she made. Please, let us be very clear about that. Now, in apartheid South Africa, the groups were allowed to vote. These groups were allowed to vote, and at the height of slavery, there were no white seeming people manacled on slave ships. You see that? Labour condemns deeply offensive comments. Labour condemned deeply offensive comments. Now, we're going to go and look at what the Tories said. Tories in talks over extreme embroiled in race row. We're going to look at what the Tories said about Frank Hester. 1 second, please. 1 sec. Yes, I just wanted to I'm highlighting something there that I want you to look at, and look at this closely. It says here, the Prime Minister, let me see if I can make that smaller because I want to just focus on that. The Prime Minister, you see, called the comments racist and wrong, but argues Mr. Hester's apology should be accepted. So, if Mr. Hester's apology is to be accepted, please tell me why wasn't Diane Abbott's apology accepted and she had to face 10 months? Why? I'll wait. Why? Why is it okay to accept apology for a clearly racist comment and keep the money, but the woman, Diane Abbott, an African woman, trying to explain the threshold that I talked about? There's a threshold for anti-Semitism. There's a threshold for anti-Semitism that's high up here. And the threshold for racism against black people is down here. And is exemplified by how she's treated. I say that categorically. It's exemplified. It's perfectly demonstrated in how she's treated. 10 months. Where? Look at this. She's got 10 months. She was given a 10-month suspension. Yeah? She's been suspended. So let me go here. As the whip suspended following in which she suggested do not face the same racism. So she's close to 10 months. She's been suspended. They had the whip. So this is what I mean. As a black person, you are either suspended or face some kind of sanction. The fact that Hester is not facing any kind of sanction is the clear definition of the inherent racism in the system. I put it to you. That is the reality. But many people don't want to hear that. But that's the reality. And I want to add something more to this. The church are now coming up and saying, oh, we're going to make some compensation. And people who want to get over slavery. Yeah, I can see what you're trying to do, but that's not going to cut it. This is not about reparations. What's the point of reparations when you're holding on to African artifacts? I want to ask that question. Because when you're talking about reparations, you want to, as far as you're concerned, you want to keep the artifacts that you looted from Africa. Many of the artifacts that was looted was under the guise that the Christian religion labeled African art and African spirituality as devilish, as satanic. I've got the facts to back up what I'm saying. There was a church missionary society, CMS. Do you remember that? they came all over the West Africa. And the first thing they did was to label anything that we Africans had as our spiritual belief system as satanic. And under the guise of that, many of the artifacts was carted off. They are in museums today all over the Western world. So when they come and say, oh, we want to make compensatory reparation, this is, if you want to make reparations, start with every single artifact that you looted. You come to somebody's house, you take their stuff, and you are not giving it back, and you think that is okay. No, it can never be okay. Any talk of reparations must start with every single artifact that you looted must be returned. Let us start with that. And also, furthermore, any interest on any loan to be taken by any African government must be zero interest. Yes, zero interest. For development, it must be zero interest. Or at the same level as you would give to your fellow Europeans for taking loans. It must be the same. Because again, in the financial system of this world, as I speak to you, it's got inbuilt racism. Let us call this out. Enough of this nonsense. We must speak truth to power. That's the reality of it. This African woman, Diane Abbott, she is a great woman. She's speaking up for people. And if you go to her constituency, she works tirelessly for the people. And this is the thanks that she gets. This is the thanks that Diane Abbott gets. Threshold racism. Racism against black people. Here you go at this level. It doesn't really matter. Oh, anti-Semitism. Oh, no. The highest threshold. Frank Hester is a clear example. She has been suspended from the house, and they prevented her from speaking. Yeah? Sorry, 1 second, please. I'm just taking something here. They prevented her from speaking. They prevented Diane Abbott from speaking. I've shown you the video. Frank Hester is an European. Oh, it's okay. He's apologized. Did she not apologize? Shouldn't that have been enough? Shouldn't that have been enough? Let us call it out. Let us call this out for what it is. This system is built with inherent racism. And unless and until we call that out, we're just kidding ourselves. Those two things must happen, as far in my view. The church reparations is nothing. Every single artifact looted, including bodies, by the way, bodies of kings held in this country. The cradle of democracy. Yes, I said it. They must return back. He that comes with equity must come with what? Your words, clean hands. Are your hands clean? Are your hands clean? Simple question. Are they clean? If you're going to be preaching morality to the rest of the world about anything, then how about you demonstrate that in not keeping hold of what is not yours? The artifacts all over Europe, looted as trophies from African continent, from the entire African continent. And you have the temerity to tell us, oh, we should do it like this. You cannot speak to us. You cannot tell us how to solve this problem. We are telling you what you must do because you committed this wrong. And the longer this carries on, the likes of Frank Hester and others who are in the shadows will continue to justify their racist actions. Remember, What? I mean, to call for her to be shot. Why isn't he already arrested? Why isn't he already arrested? Whether or not he apologized. Why isn't he already arrested? She apologized for trying to explain, and she didn't do anything wrong. I stand by her. She didn't do anything wrong. This case perfectly exemplifies the threshold given to anti-Semitism standing up here and that of the racism standing down here. And it is with the same African not being allowed to speak in the parliament of which she's a member. So you're going to tell me racism doesn't exist, right? Interesting. Those of you watching this, if this resonates with you, please share. I am making particular reference to the fact that Frank Hester used racist words, indeed called for a woman, a misogynist act in itself, misogynistic act in itself, to be shot. I mean, look at the words. Looking at Diane Abbott makes you want to hate all, I'm not going to say all African women. It's what I'm going to say. Because the word, I'm not a black person, I'm an African. And it's enough of this nonsense. And I want every African to take this on board. If you are of my skin color, you are African. You're not Caribbean. You're not American. You are not, you are black. And you are African. You are African. And we need to take control. And later, further down the line, we are going to go and use the word, we will use the word Al-Kebulan when we've all completely awoken. What is happening to Haitians? They're Africans. They're Africans. And we know the history of what happened to Haitians. The French were defeated to make sure that there was no symbol of Africans standing up and being a success. They impoverished them. They made them pay fines for freeing themselves. Till today, that process has impoverished Haiti, backed by the other European powers. That's a fact. That is a real fact. But hey, what do I know? So, in closing, I stand full square with an African woman, Diane Abbott. She's an African woman. And the establishment did not allow her to have a voice. They did not allow her to have a voice. Yet she was the one that was being racially attacked and also incite people. This man was, Frank Hester was inciting, physical harm to an African woman. Oh, but it's all right. He's apologized. Well, if he apologized, why wasn't it okay when Diane Abbott apologized for what many were quick to call anti-Semitic statements? Why? Let me show you again. Let us go and look at that. I think it's very, very important to look at this. Anti-Semitic remarks. So she apologized because it says, I'm going to show you. She apologized. Yeah? Now, let me just see here. I'm gonna get it up for you. Give me 1 second, please. Okay. She wished to wholly and unreservedly withdraw remarks and dissociated myself from them. But she still faced what? She was suspended from the parliament. Even though she apologized. Frank Hester. Oh, I apologize. Oh, it's okay. But it's not okay in the case of Diane Abbott. That in itself displays the inherent racism that we are talking about. That in itself, you can see it in black and white. I'll put it here. So let us see. I'm going to go and get you Frank Hester's apology. Yeah? Let's bring that up. Frank Hester. Yeah? Let's bring that up. Okay? Yeah. Here we go. Listen to this now. So this is from I'm just showing you from Sky. So it says it's like, let me see now. He now says here he admitted he made rude remarks and comments to Miss Abbott, which were first reported by nothing to do with her gender nor the color of her skin. That is even the guy is even he's being disingenuous with the truth. So he apologized. And what does Sunak say? Sunak says, but argues Hester's apology should be accepted. So if Hester's apology was accepted for his racist and misogynistic remarks, please tell me why the remarks made in a way to explain the perception of how anti-Semitism is given a higher threshold than racism against black people she was explaining that, and she, based on what I can see now, she's right. She is absolutely right. But hey, and she's not allowed to speak. She wasn't allowed to speak at her own at an incident that involved her. So the system supports the oppressor. Hester will keep your 10 million. And oppresses the woman, the African woman that he actually was calling for to be shot. And they support that. Racism is alive and kicking in this country. That's the reality. That's a sacrifice. Some people may not agree. And I know some people are fighting against it, don't get me wrong. But in the system, when a system prevents her, let me show you. I'm not so that you don't come and tell me I'm making wild accusations. There she is. You watch this and tell me yourself what you see. I'll be quiet for a second. Listen.
Mr. Speaker, despite serious opposition from the Archbishop of Canterbury, 3 former Home Secretaries...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Armed Forces...
No, Mr. Speaker, the Labour Party will not be sticking to its completely unfunded £46 billion...
It shamefully took him more than 24 hours to finally say the remarks by the Tories' biggest donor that looking at the Right Honourable Member for Hackney North and Stoke Newington makes you want to hate all black women were indeed racist.
Yeah.
In November, the Prime Minister accepted a non-cash donation.
There you see perfectly what I mean. Frank Hester, oh, it's okay. You've apologized, it's fine. Diane Abbott, you apologized. Oh, no. We don't accept your apology. You must face what you cannot take it back. But he can take it back. That's the racism. That is the clear definition of racism. When he apologizes and he's welcome with open arms with his £10 million. She apologizes and she's actually right in what she said. But because the system, she's an African woman, she must have no voice. And you saw it. She wasn't allowed to have a voice. The system is telling you where the power lies. That's the reality. I'm going to leave it there. Those of you watching this broadcast, what are your thoughts on this? How do you view what I just said now? And what are just the analysis I provided in terms of the racism and anti-Semitism and all of that stuff that they're talking about, and how there's a higher threshold for anti-Semitism when compared against racism against black people. There is a higher threshold. That is to say, if whatever you say as an against Jews or in an anti-Semitic way, you face those consequences. No ifs, no buts. You are not allowed to escape. But if you were to be racist against a black person, an African person, you are allowed to get away with it. Let me show you what I mean, because the Prime Minister's words proves what I'm saying. The Prime Minister called the comment racist and wrong, but argues Mr. Hester's apologies should be accepted. So if his apology is accepted, please tell me, why wasn't Diane Abbott's apology accepted? I'll wait. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Citizen A, the platform where we speak truth power. What are your thoughts on this? Let us have your views on this. It's okay for a racist to apologize and it's accepted. But when Diane Abbott, an African woman, explains the threshold between anti-Semitism and black people, anti-Semitism up here, black people down here, in terms of threshold, oh, she is anti-Semitic. Never mind what she's trying to explain. And she faces sanctions. And the clearly racist person doesn't face any sanctions. Indeed, the money is kept. What does that tell you about the system? Based on the evidence of what I can see, the system is inherently racist. Take it or leave it. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Give us thumbs up. Help us reach more people. I am clearly supporting an African woman. And I really want us as Africans to really begin to look at this. You are not a Caribbean. You are not a location. You are an African. You are an African. You are not a name devised somewhere. You are, like I said, further down the line, we will go for our cable land. We are going to reclaim ourselves. One of the major concerns is very, very interesting. Anyway, I can go to more discussions about it, but I don't want to go too far. What I'm really focusing on again is the case of Frank Hester, clearly racist comments and inciting violence against an African woman. His apology is readily accepted and his money kept. Diane Abbott explaining the difference between how anti-Semitism has and black racism. There are key differences that are often overlooked, and she's right in every single thing she said. And to point out those things, in my opinion, it doesn't make her anti-Semitic. No, it doesn't. She was highlighting the threshold, and I've explained that carefully. And I'm taking my time to explain this without, I'm not judging. Nobody should be carrying out anything that is wrong against another group of people. It's wrong. We should all be equal if we're going to look at that. But the reality is, the fact that she's not been, one, they rejected her apology and she faced sanctions. Number one. Two, she wasn't allowed to speak in her own case, in the parliament of which she's a member. Racism is alive and kicking. And that's the reality. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth. I'll be back later on. Please share this broadcast. It's very, very important to discuss this. What are your thoughts on this? You watch this. This is for all of us. If you are an African, and please, as one last thing I will say to every African on this planet, don't see yourself as black. No. You must see yourself as African. If you got my skin color, you are only one thing. You are African. You are African. And be proud of it. Because this, Europeans do not go around saying I'm white. I'm European. European American. I'm from Europe. Because they are the connections and everything else is clear. And ours is equally clear. Despite the colonialism and slavery, it's clear. This skin color, you are African, and be proud of that. So whether or not you are in Caribbeans, or you happen to be in America, or you happen to be, you are African. Not black. I am not black. I am African. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Please share this broadcast. Let's hear your thoughts on this. Thank you, and bye for now.